H.H. Holmes was the alias of one of America's first serial killers. During the 1883 Columbian Exposition, he lured victims into his elaborate murder castle. Herman Webster Mudgett, better known as H.H. Holmes, was a con artist and a bigamist who was one of America's first serial killers, sometimes referred to as the Beast of Chicago. Holmes is believed to have killed somewhere between 20 to 200 people. He killed many of his victims in a specifically constructed home, which was later nicknamed the Murder Castle. Apprehended in 1894, he was hung for his crime 2 years later. Holmes was born Herman Webster Mudgett, circa May 16, 1861, in New Hampshire. Born to an affluent family, Holmes enjoyed a privileged childhood and was said to be unusually intelligent at an early age, which reportedly led him to practice surgery on animals. Some accounts indicate that he may have been responsible for the death of a friend. Holmes' life of crimes began with various fraud scams. As a medical student in the University of Michigan, he stole corpses and used them to make false insurance claims. Holmes may have used the bodies for experiments as well. In 1885, Holmes moved to Chicago, Illinois. He soon found work in a pharmacy, using his now infamous alias, Dr. Henry H. Holmes. He eventually took over the business and was later rumored to have killed the original owner. And that is where he built the infamous Murder Castle. For his mansion, H.H. Holmes planned for the first floor to contain an entire block that would be able to rent out to the flood of new businesses opening up in the city. The third floor would contain apartments for new residents looking to make it big in the Windy City early. Some of those unsuspecting residents may have eventually become Holmes' victims. Those victims got to see the second floor, one that was allegedly full of asphyxiation chambers, mazes, and hidden stairs, and the especially unlucky victims made it down to the basement, which hid the elaborate horrors of which the H.H. Holmes house is now famous for. Throughout the building's construction, Holmes apparently switched builders and architects frequently, so that no one involved was able to realize the gruesome end goal of all the odd parts. Many of his victims, no one knows a certain total number, were women who were seduced and swindled by the killer. Holmes had a habit of getting engaged to a woman, only for his fiancée to suddenly disappear. Other victims were lured there by offer of employment. Holmes left Chicago shortly after the World's Fair to continue his schemes, including a plan with an associate named Benjamin Pitizel, in which Pitizel would fake his own death to collect $10,000 from a life insurance company. Jailed at one point for another fraud, Holmes confided in a fellow inmate, a notorious outlaw, who knew Holmes as H.M. Howard, about the life insurance scheme. The inmate later helped investigators by revealing details of their discussion. While the authorities eventually identified Howard as Holmes, they did not catch on soon enough to stop his final murders. Holmes killed Pitizel, and after telling his widow that her husband was still alive and in hiding, convinced her to let him travel with 3 of her 5 children, who also became his victims. After several weeks of outrunning authorities, Holmes was finally apprehended in November 1894. During his time in custody, he gave numerous stories to the police, admitting to killing 27 people. Convicted in 1895, Holmes appealed his case but lost. It was at this point police went to go investigate the Murder Castle. The police would be exploring its winding passages while Holmes sat behind bars. At first, authorities were confused at what they found. There were hinged walls and false partitions. Some rooms had 5 doors and others had none. Secret, airless chambers were found underneath floorboards, and iron plate-lined walls appeared to stifle all sound. As for Holmes' own apartment, it had a trapdoor in the bathroom, which opened to reveal a staircase that led to a windowless cubicle. In that cubicle, there was allegedly a large chute that tunneled through the basement. One notable room was lined with gas fixtures. Here, Holmes would apparently seal his victim in, flip a switch in an adjacent room, and wait for the horror to unfold. Another chute was found nearby. All of the doors and some of the steps were connected to an intricate alarm system. Whenever someone would step in the hall or headed upstairs, a buzzer would sound in Holmes' room. It should be noted that some of these descriptions have been met with some skepticism by historians, especially in recent years. And so it's worth keeping in mind that at least some of these designs may have been exaggerated or even invented by the newspaper of the era. The first clue about the bizarre floor plan's true purpose came to the cops in a pile of bones. Most of the bones were from animals, but some were human. They were some small bones that almost certainly belonged to a child, one who was no more than 6 or 7 years old. And when the authorities descended into the cellar, the scope of the building's hidden horrors was finally revealed. Besides a blood-soaked operating table, they found a woman's clothes. Another surgical surface was nearby, along with a crematory and an array of medical tools, a bizarre torture device, and shells of disintegrating acids. Holmes' fascination with dead bodies had apparently lasted long past college, as had his surgical skills. After dropping his victim down the chutes, he reportedly dissected them, cleaned them, and then sold their organs or skeletons to medical institutions or on black markets. The estimated total number of people Holmes killed ranged from 20 to as many as 200 victims. Holmes died on May 7, 1896, when he was hung for the Pizza El murder. He was buried in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania. Unfortunately, that's all the time we have for today. I hope you enjoyed the video, and if you did, please let me know by liking and subscribing. Also, I just want to give you a quick message and thank you all for being with me for these 30 days of the October Serial Killer-thon. I really appreciate you guys watching my videos, liking and subscribing. And starting on November 1st, I will go back to making creepypastas, paranormal videos, Mandela effects, weird facts, just to get back into the rhythm. And also, I'm going to start including several gaming videos like I did with the Phasmophobia with friends. I'm going to see if I can do some either story modes or stuff like that just to not be so gloomy all the time. Also, a big shout out to Sarah Sinister. She has some really good content. I suggest you guys go and check her out because she does this serial killer stuff and spooky stuff that I'm into, and I know if you're watching this, you're into it. So go give her a like and a subscribe and tell her that Rami G sent you. Until next time, guys, happy Halloween. Sweet dreams.